Please don't forget subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to get notified of new daily videos.
I remember the day Maxwell and I first saw the old Miller place. It was a sprawling, somewhat neglected Victorian nestled deep in the woods, miles from the nearest town. Too cheap to be true, the realtor had chirped, something about difficult to maintain. Max, ever the pragmatist, saw cheap rent and potential. I saw overgrown roses and a whispering solitude I mistook for peace. We bought it. Our first few weeks were a blur of boxes and paint fumes. We were young, foolish, and deeply in love. Max, with his booming laugh and endless optimism, painted the study a defiant indigo. I spent hours scrubbing years of grime from the kitchen. It was ours, our sanctuary. The strangeness started subtly. A persistent chill in the pantry, even on the hottest days, the distinct scent of damp earth when there was no rain. Max dismissed it as an old house settling, a draft. I wasn't so sure. One afternoon, while trying to pry open a stuck drawer in the antique dresser we'd found in the master bedroom, my fingers snagged on something loose. Behind the false back panel, tucked away, was a small, leather-bound journal. The cover was worn smooth, and the pages within were brittle, filled with elegant, faded script. It belonged to a Darlene Rains, the previous owner. Most of the early entries were mundane. Recipes, garden notes, complaints about local gossip. Then, abruptly, the tone shifted. August 14th, 1968. The walls listen. Never argue, not after dusk. Not a raised voice. They find the cracks. They feed on discord. I frowned, thinking it was a metaphor. A lonely old woman's musings. I read on. September 3rd, 1968. The well, not for water, for tribute. A small offering each new moon. Small, organic, else it hungers. I forgot last month. The air grew heavy like a shroud. The old well in the garden. Max had joked about it being a wishing well. A knot of unease began to tighten in my stomach. Over the next few days, I devoured the journal. It wasn't just a diary. It was a manual. A desperate, terrified guide to coexisting with something in this house. Darlene detailed a series of bizarre rituals and taboos, each meticulously recorded with escalating fear. October 10th, 1968. The mirror, in the study, cover it, always, especially on the full moon. What it reflects is not always what is. Bernie saw it, and then he was gone. Bernie, Darlene's husband. The thought sent a jolt through me. Max loved that old, ornate mirror. He'd polished it to a shine. November 22nd, 1968. The rocking chair. Never let it rock empty. If you find it moving, stop it. Always. A vacant seat is an invitation. We had moved an old rocking chair from the attic to the living room. It did have a habit of creaking on its own. January 5th, 1969. The shadow on the stairs. If you see one that isn't yours, do not acknowledge it. Do not run. Stand still. Close your eyes. Count to 47, it wants recognition. Don't give it. March 1st, 1969. The attic window. Never open it. Not even to clean. The dust is a barrier. The wind carries whispers that infect the mind. April 12th, 1969. The bells, smallest bells, in every room but the study. Their chime wards off the small ones, the nowers. Replace them when the sound falters. Mine are fatting. I can hear them in the walls. I tried to tell Max. He chuckled, pouring himself another beer. Leanne, love, it's just a sad old lady's dementia. This house is old, it creaks. Bernie probably just left her for a younger woman. But the rules, Max, I pleaded, holding out the journal. They're so specific. The rocking chair, the well, the mirror. He waved a dismissive hand. Superstition. Come on, we're not going to let some ghost story ruin our dream home. I started making small changes. I tied a scarf over the mirror in the study when Max wasn't looking. I made sure to leave an apple core near the well, claiming it was for the squirrels. I even found some tiny, decorative bells and hung them in the kitchen and bedroom. Max just rolled his eyes. The house, however, seemed to notice. The subtle things became less subtle. The chill in the pantry deepened. I'd catch glimpses of movement in my peripheral vision, shadows that stretched too long, shifted too fast. One night I woke to the distinct sound of the rocking chair in the living room, creaking steadily, rhythmically in the dark. I crept out and stopped it, my heart hammering. Max slept soundly beside me. Then came the arguments. Small at first about trivial things, but they quickly escalated. We'd never fought like this. It was like a venom had seeped into our words, making us lash out, amplify grievances. Max, usually so jovial, became irritable, prone to snapping. He'd scoff louder at the journal, even tearing out a page once, daring me to do something. One evening, after the sun had dipped below the tree line, casting the house in deepening gloom, Max and I had a terrible fight. It started with him forgetting to close the attic window after retrieving some tools. "Just a bit of fresh air," he'd yelled. I, remembering Darlene's warning, had been insistent. "Max, please, the journal says." "The journal says rubbish, Leanne," he'd roared, his face flushed. "You're letting an old woman's crazy talk infect our lives. I'm tired of it." His voice echoed through the house, too loud, too sharp. I felt a tremor run through the floorboards. The air grew thick, suffocating. I remembered Darlene's first rule. "The walls listen. Never argue, not after dusk." Max stormed into the study, muttering angrily. I heard the scrape of metal. He was pulling the scarf off the mirror. "See," he shouted, his voice muffled through the door. "Nothing, just me, Max Inman, and I'm going to prove it to you right now." A chill, colder than any I'd felt before, enveloped me. I ran to the study door, pushing it open. Max stood before the large, ornate mirror, his back to me. He was staring intently into his reflection. "See, Leanne, no ghosts, no boogamen, just an old piece of glass." But as he spoke, I saw it. In the mirror behind his reflected image was a distortion. A ripple like heat haze that coalesced into a figure. Tall, impossibly thin, its form a darker shade of shadow, stretching, undulating. It had no discernible features, just a hungry void where a face should be. It was there in the reflection, leaning over Max's shoulder. Max laughed, a short, sharp bark. "See, nothing but us," his voice hitched. He went silent. The reflection of the shadow thing reached out a long, skeletal arm, its fingers dissolving into tendrils as they seemed to touch Max's reflected shoulder. My breath caught in my throat. "Max!" I screamed, but the sound was thin, fragile, swallowed by the oppressive silence that instantly followed. Max slowly turned, his eyes wide and vacant, fixed on me, but it wasn't Max. His eyes were too dark, too deep. His skin had a papery, grayish sheen, and a faint, sweet smell like decay and ozone emanated from him. He took a step towards me, then another, his movements stiff, unnatural. The shadow in the mirror smiled, a vast, tearing void opening where its mouth should be. "Max!" I shrieked again, stumbling backwards. He just kept coming, that dead look in his eyes, his arms slowly rising, reaching for me. He was gone. The thing in the mirror had taken his place. I slammed the study door shut, fumbling for the lock. My hands trembled so violently I could barely grasp the knob. I threw every bolt, every latch, every piece of furniture I could find against that door. I heard nothing from the other side, just the profound, suffocating silence of the house. It's been 3 days since. 3 days since I last saw the real Max. 3 days since I covered the study mirror with 3 layers of thick blackout fabric. 3 days since I started meticulously following every single one of Darlene Rains' rules. I speak in whispers. I leave offerings in the well. I stop the rocking chair if it moves. I check the attic window hourly. I've hung tiny bells in every room, their faint jingle a desperate prayer. I don't know if I can keep this up. The house feels colder every day, and I swear I can hear bells from behind the walls. I'm alone in this house, but I'm never truly alone.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button to like it. And please do subscribe to support the channel.